Let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, your mind racing, imagining all the things that could go wrong? We've all been there. Worry feels so real, so urgent, like it's trying to protect us. But what if I told you, worry doesn't actually exist? I know, that sounds impossible. But bear with me. There's a famous song by Bobby McFerrin, "Don't worry, be happy." Most of us hear it as just a cheerful tune. But beneath its simplicity lies a deep truth, one that Buddhist philosophy has been whispering to humanity for centuries. Worry, according to Buddhism, isn't reality. It's a projection, a trick of the mind, a habit of trying to live in a future that hasn't happened yet. And the more we try to control that imagined future, the more anxious we become. So here's the big question. If worry is just an illusion, what happens when we stop believing in it? What changes when we stop feeding it with our attention? In today's reflection, we're going to gently unpack the nature of worry, explore how Buddhism understands this mental habit, and discover a radically freeing idea: that peace isn't something we find after all our problems are solved. Peace is something we return to when we wake up from the dream of worry. If you've been carrying the weight of fear, stress, or overthinking, this might be the shift your heart has been looking for. So take a deep breath. You're not alone, and you're not stuck. Let's begin this journey, not by solving every problem, but by learning to see clearly, starting with one powerful truth. Worry isn't who you are. It's just something your mind does. So let's go deeper. What exactly is worry, according to Buddhist wisdom? It's not just a feeling, it's not just a bad habit, it's a form of suffering. In Pali, the ancient language of the Buddha, this kind of suffering is called dukkha, a deep sense of unease, dissatisfaction, or disconnection from the present moment. But here's the most important part. Worry is not caused by what's actually happening. It's caused by what might happen. Think about it. Most of the time when we worry, there is no real problem in front of us. We're lying in bed at night, eyes wide open, replaying conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios, planning out things we can't control. We're not responding to reality. We're reacting to imagination. And yet, we've been conditioned to believe that worrying means we care, or that it makes us responsible. I worry because I love them. I worry because I want to be prepared. But Buddhism challenges this belief. It doesn't say we shouldn't care. It says we shouldn't cling. Worry, from a Buddhist lens, is the result of attachment, what's called upadana in Pali. We become attached to how things should go, how people should behave, how outcomes should unfold. And when reality doesn't line up with our expectations, we feel fear. We tighten. We start spiraling into the what-ifs. And the more we cling, the more fear grows. Fear of loss, fear of change, fear of uncertainty. That fear is the root of worry. The Buddha taught that worry pulls us out of the only place where life is real, the present moment. Everything else, he said, is just mental noise. Just like clouds passing through the sky, our thoughts come and go. But when we hold on to them, when we believe them, we suffer. And here's a powerful metaphor the Buddha used. Imagine you're walking through the forest and an arrow strikes you. That's life, unexpected, painful, raw. But then, instead of treating the wound, you take another arrow and stab yourself with it. That second arrow is worry. It's the suffering we create after the pain. The fear, the resistance, the endless overthinking. Now here's the good news. The first arrow, life's challenges, may be unavoidable, but the second one? That one's optional. And this is where our power begins. Once we realize that worry is something we do, not something we are, we can begin to shift. We can begin to observe it, rather than be consumed by it. This is why mindfulness, sati in Pali, is so central in Buddhist practice. It's the art of simply noticing. When a wave of worry appears, we don't have to wrestle it. We don't have to analyze or solve it. We just name it. This is worry. And then we breathe. We come back to the body, to the breath, to the present. In doing so, we're reclaiming something precious, our inner stillness. It's not about pretending everything's okay. It's about recognizing that worrying doesn't fix the future. It just robs us of the now. I know how deeply ingrained this habit can be. Many of us were raised in families where worry was normalized, even praised. But here's something to consider. How many things have you worried about that never actually happened? And how many of those worries cost you peace, sleep, or health? And the truth is, worry is often the price we pay for not trusting life. But Buddhism reminds us, everything is impermanent. No emotion, no situation, no thought lasts forever. So why hold on so tightly? The practice is not to eliminate all worry forever. That's not realistic. The practice is to notice when we start to worry and gently guide ourselves back to what's real, back to what's here. So next time you feel that familiar tightness in your chest or that restless spiral in your mind, pause. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are simply being human. And now, you're learning to wake up. Because when we stop feeding the mind with fear, when we stop believing every anxious story it tells, we begin to taste something new. Freedom. Let's continue this journey. If worry is something our mind creates, then it's time we ask, what exactly is this mind doing? Buddhism teaches that the untrained mind is like a wild elephant, strong, fast, and powerful, but undisciplined. It runs wherever it pleases. It reacts quickly to fear, discomfort, and uncertainty, and most of the time, we let it. You see, the mind is a storyteller. Every day from the moment we wake up, it spins narratives. Who we are, what we need, what we should fear, what we might lose. These stories often go unquestioned. We assume they're true simply because they showed up in our heads. And that's where the trap lies. We don't just have thoughts, we believe them. We become them. If the mind says something bad is going to happen, we brace ourselves. If it says you're not good enough, we shrink. If it says this is going to go terribly, we spiral. But here's the liberating truth. Thoughts are not facts. They're mental events shaped by memory, past conditioning, emotions, and fear. And yet, we build our entire lives around them. Buddhism offers a powerful practice to break this pattern. It's called vipassana, or clear seeing. It means observing the mind, not judging it, not fixing it, just seeing it clearly. Here's what happens when we begin to practice this. We start to notice that our thoughts are constantly jumping to the past, to the future, to things that aren't happening right now. We see that the mind reacts to discomfort by escaping the present moment. And in that escape, it builds stories. Those stories become suffering. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you're waiting for a text message from someone important. 1 hour passes, still no reply. What happens? The mind begins. Did I say something wrong? Maybe they're upset. Maybe something happened. Before long, your body feels anxious. Your heart is racing. Your stomach tightens. But here's the truth. Nothing has actually happened. Only a thought has. That's the power and the danger of the unobserved mind. So how do we begin to free ourselves from this trap? Well, we don't fight the mind. We watch it. When a worry arises, we create a tiny space between the thought and our reaction. We pause. We breathe. And in that pause, something profound begins to happen. We stop following every thought like it's the truth. We become witnesses, not prisoners. That pause is everything. It's where your power lives. It's the moment when you remember, I am not this thought. I am the awareness watching this thought. The Buddha compared the mind to a wild elephant, but also reminded us it can be trained. Through mindfulness, meditation, and ethical living, we begin to guide that elephant. With practice, it becomes more stable, more still, more at peace. And here's something beautiful. When you stop identifying with your thoughts, your suffering begins to dissolve. You no longer have to fix every problem in your mind. You don't need to control every outcome or prepare for every worst-case scenario. You simply come back to now. Because the present moment doesn't demand worry. It only asks for your attention. And that's where mindfulness becomes more than a technique. It becomes a way of living. It's in how we walk, how we eat, how we breathe, how we respond to others. When you're present, you listen deeply. You feel the ground beneath your feet. You see life as it is, not as your fears paint it to be. This is how we begin to reclaim our peace. Not by shutting down the mind, but by shining a light on it. Not by forcing silence, but by gently returning again and again to this moment. Remember this: you are not broken. You are not your thoughts, and you are not your fear. You are the calm beneath the storm, the witness, the awareness that's always been there, waiting for you to come home. And every time you pause, breathe, and observe, you take one step closer to freedom. Take a moment. Pause whatever you're doing. Close your eyes if you can. Take a slow, steady breath. Inhale and exhale. That breath is the present moment. That breath is your anchor. And no matter where your mind has gone today, whether it's raced into tomorrow's worries or replayed yesterday's regrets, this moment has been patiently waiting for you to come home. You see, most of us don't actually live in the present. Sure, our bodies are here, we're walking, working, talking, but our minds, they're miles away. Thinking about that email we haven't answered, that mistake we made last week, that conversation we're afraid to have tomorrow, that bill, that plan, that future. We spend so much time living in a mental simulation of life that we completely miss the one thing that's real: now. But Buddhism teaches something both simple and revolutionary. Suffering begins when we leave the present moment, when we resist what is, when we argue with life before it even happens. And one of the most common forms of resistance is anxiety, that restless feeling in your chest, that tightness in your thoughts. That's the signal. You've left the present and entered a future that doesn't exist. Here's the truth. You're not anxious because something bad is happening. You're anxious because your mind is imagining something bad might happen, and your body is reacting as if it's already true. So how do we come back? Mindfulness is the answer. But let's be clear. Mindfulness isn't just meditation. It's not sitting in silence for 20 minutes a day with incense and closed eyes. It's far more alive than that. Mindfulness is the art of being awake, truly awake. To your breath, to your steps, to the taste of your tea, to the sound of a bird outside your window, to the feeling of sunlight on your face. It's about being here. And when we begin to live this way, even just for moments, the mind softens. The racing thoughts slow down. The pressure begins to lift. We stop building mountains out of tiny worries. We stop catastrophizing. We stop poisoning ourselves with what-ifs. We begin to return to reality. You might wonder, but how can I stay present when life feels so uncertain? It's a good question. And here's the surprising answer. You don't stay present by controlling life. You stay present by trusting it. Presence is not about perfection. It's not about pretending everything is okay. It's about being strong enough to face what is, instead of hiding in what might be. And here's the miracle. When you're present, you make better decisions. You respond instead of react. You breathe instead of panic. You become grounded, not in your plans, but in your awareness. That space between thought and action, that's where your power lives. Think about that. You don't need to control every future scenario. You don't need to plan for every possible outcome. You need only to be here, right now. Because this moment is the only place where clarity lives. It's the only place where peace lives. And every time you come back, every time you notice your mind has wandered and gently return, you're building a new habit. A habit of presence. A habit of resilience. A habit of freedom. One breath, one step, one pause at a time. Here's something you can try next time worry shows up. Place a hand over your heart. Feel the warmth. Feel the life. Take a breath and softly say to yourself, I'm here. I'm safe. I'm enough. Because you are. You always have been. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're just learning a new way of being, one that your soul has always known was possible. And no, it won't always be easy. The mind will try to pull you away. That's what it does. But every time you come back to the now, you're reclaiming your peace. Not by solving everything, but by remembering this. The present moment is not a stepping stone. It's the destination. Everything you've been seeking, happiness, clarity, calm, it doesn't live in the next achievement, the next relationship, the next plan. It lives right here. So next time the thoughts start spinning and your heart starts racing, pause. Don't push it away. Just pause, breathe, and return. Again and again. Not to escape life, but to finally meet it. Let's talk about something that sounds simple, but is one of the hardest things we'll ever do: letting go. You hear it all the time. Just let it go. Sounds nice. But if you've ever truly tried to let go of a plan, a person, a fear, a future, you know how terrifying it can feel. Why is that? Because deep down, most of us believe that if we let go, things will fall apart. We think that worry is holding everything together, that if we stop planning every detail, we'll lose control, that if we stop overthinking, we'll be unprepared, that if we don't grip tightly, something bad will happen. But Buddhism offers a radically different truth. The tighter you hold on, the more you suffer. Control is an illusion, an exhausting one. We think we're keeping ourselves safe, but really, we're just wearing ourselves down, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Let's pause and consider this. When you were a child, did anyone ever teach you how to trust life? Most of us were raised to believe in effort, caution, responsibility, which are all important. But rarely were we taught how to trust, to believe that things could unfold without force, to understand that sometimes surrender is not weakness, it's wisdom. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means loosening your grip. It means allowing life to move, shift, evolve, without constantly fighting it. It means you still care, but you're no longer controlled by fear. Buddhism teaches that impermanence is one of the core truths of life. Everything is changing, always. No situation, no person, no emotion lasts forever. So when we cling to how things should stay, we're resisting the natural flow of life. And in that resistance, suffering is born. Let's look to nature. A tree doesn't resist when its leaves fall. A river doesn't panic when the current shifts. A bird doesn't doubt the wind beneath its wings. There's a quiet trust built into the natural world. And Buddhism reminds us we are part of that world. We're not separate from the flow. We are the flow. But when we fight it, when we try to manage, control, and force, we create anxiety, frustration, and emotional fatigue. You've probably felt it. Those moments when everything is uncertain, and yet something inside you says, I don't know what's coming, but I'll meet it when it does. That is trust. That's the art of letting go. And strangely enough, it's in those moments that we often feel most alive. To let go, we must first recognize the unconscious beliefs we carry. That worrying makes us more responsible, that planning makes us more powerful, that control keeps us safe. But the Buddha didn't teach us to run from life. He taught us to face it, embrace it, and flow with it, with its chaos, its beauty, its unpredictability. He taught that the more we cling, the more we suffer. But when we begin to see impermanence as a truth, not just a theory, something inside us softens. We begin to hold life with open hands instead of closed fists. And here's something you may never have heard. Peace doesn't come from certainty. It comes from presence. Peace is not the result of a perfect life. It's the result of surrender. And surrender doesn't mean quitting. It means aligning with life's intelligence. It means saying, I'll show up fully. I'll do my best. But I will not destroy my peace trying to control what I cannot control. Surrender is knowing that life is bigger than your plans. And that's not a threat. That's beautiful. Because when you stop trying to be the manager of the universe, you become a participant in it. You begin to feel carried, not by force, but by flow. And this is where the deepest freedom lives, not in getting everything right, but in releasing the illusion that you ever needed to. Letting go doesn't happen once. It's not a single breakthrough moment. It's a practice, a choice you make again and again. Every time fear tells you, you're not safe unless you're in control, and you respond with, no, I choose trust. Trust in the unfolding. Trust that what's meant for you will find you. Trust that you'll know what to do when the time comes. And if you don't know, trust that not knowing is also part of the path. This kind of trust isn't passive. It's alive. It's intelligent. It inspires action when action is needed, and rest when rest is right. It listens deeply to your intuition, your breath, your body. It doesn't ignore responsibility. It just refuses to carry fear as a way of life. And here's a gentle practice to begin. Next time you feel the urge to grip, to force, to overthink, pause. Notice the tension in your body. Notice the tightness in your breath. Ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I let go just a little? Then try letting go, just a little, and watch what unfolds. And maybe the world doesn't fall apart. Maybe something beautiful happens. Maybe you feel lighter, more open, more free. Because letting go isn't the end. It's the beginning of a new relationship with life, not one based on fear, but on trust. A relationship that whispers, whatever comes, I can meet it. Not with panic, but with presence. Not with resistance, but with grace. That's the path Buddhism invites us into, not to control life, but to live it, fully, lightly, wisely. And maybe, just maybe, that old song was right all along. Don't worry, be happy wasn't just a feel-good line. It was a spiritual truth. Because in the end, worry doesn't protect us. It disconnects us from the only thing that's ever been real, this moment. So what if, starting today, you stopped gripping so tightly? What if you trusted just a little more? What if you let go, not to give up, but to wake up? So, what have we uncovered together? We've seen that worry isn't a solution. It's a habit. A mental reflex rooted in fear, attachment, and the illusion of control. We've seen that it pulls us out of the only place where peace truly exists, the present moment. Through Buddhist wisdom, we've explored a powerful truth. You don't have to wait for your life to be perfect to feel peace. You just have to stop running from what's here. Every breath, every thought, every wave of emotion, these are opportunities not to control life, but to meet it with awareness. And here's the heart of it all. You are not your worries. You are not your past. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind all of it. When you begin to watch your mind with compassion and clarity, something profound happens. You stop being a prisoner of your thoughts. You stop reacting on autopilot. You begin to respond with presence, with intention, with grace. That's the real freedom Buddhism points us toward. Not freedom from pain, but freedom within it. Not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of awareness even when life is hard. So next time you find yourself spiraling in fear, planning every outcome, or feeling paralyzed by the unknown, pause. Return to your breath. Return to your body. Return to now. Place your hand on your chest, feel the steadiness of your heartbeat, and say to yourself, "This moment is enough. I am enough." Because you are. And as you walk this path, step by gentle step, you begin to discover something unexpected. That peace was never somewhere far away. It was here, all along, waiting for you to stop chasing and start awakening. Thank you for being here, for sharing this reflection, and for choosing presence over pressure, truth over fear. If this episode spoke to you, if something in it softened your mind or opened your heart, I invite you to subscribe, share it with someone you love, and continue walking this path with us. Because you're not alone on this journey. Let's keep waking up, together.